Hello again, I am Bluntian. VR is awesome, I love it, but the current generation of consumer hardware has struggled with adoption somewhat. Apple might be about to change that, as with their weight behind a push for more content that is highly appealing to the average consumer, rather than the more enthusiast level of appeal most VR has right now, we might soon see the so-called killer app that brings a wave of regular people to VR experiences, and more specifically, sell them some VR hardware. And not out of mild curiosity, but out of an earnest desire to have a specific experience. An article I stumbled across this morning from thebabc.com claims that the killer app that will sell VR to millions of eager average consumers is Taylor Swift. Now that VR headsets are more functional and affordable, many in the field believe that the main missing ingredient is a piece of software or content so popular it inspires the average person to purchase a new hardware device. Taylor Swift is a killer app for virtual reality, says VR expert and unabashed Swiftie Tom Emmerich. Which, I don't know, man, it just made me laugh. Taylor Swift is such a pop culture phenomenon. She gets blamed for all kinds of crazy ass shit these days, including right-wing nut jobs claiming she's a Pentagon psyop invention designed to corrupt the kids. I'm not even kidding about that. You can't make this stupid shit up. But that bit of Fox News mental breakdown did at least lead to my very favorite bit of official US Department of Defense statement ever. As for this conspiracy theory, we are going to shake it off. You get it? Because that's the Taylor Swift song. Shake It Off, for the record, is one of my own favourite Taylor Swift songs. I love how it was used in the desperately underrated animated movie Sing. But the BBC are reporting that some experts in virtual reality, VR, space are hopeful it will also inspire her fans, Swifties, to adopt the immersive technology platform. Now, let's get this much out of the way already. When the author of this article says some experts, what he means is a couple of people with heavily vested interests in publicizing VR as a platform for watching passive entertainment because they work for companies that sell that experience. But we will get to that. The article claims, along with stadiums and cinemas across the globe, Taylor Swift's unprecedentedly popular The Eras Tour is also streaming on Amazon's Prime Video app. Soon after its release, fans discovered that much like Prime Video's content library, they could stream the film in their own private virtual theaters through Prime Video's VR app on the MetaQuest. Now, a couple of things on that. Firstly, the Prime Video's VR app is extremely mid, by the way. Just a super basic, just dirt basic and very limited experience compared to what's possible for streaming media and virtual theatre type apps. Secondly, the Taylor Swift concert is not VR content at all. So don't get the wrong idea here. You're not experiencing Taylor Swift in VR. You're watching it on a flat screen in a virtual theatre. You're not going to feel immersed. You're not going to feel like you're at the concert. You're not going to feel like you're sitting in the front row with Taylor looking right at you. But we will get back to that. The BBC continues, on TikTok and other social media platforms, videos of Swifties singing along while wearing the headsets have gone viral. This has led some industry insiders to suggest the cinematic experience of the top-grossing tour in music history could also catalyze the mass adoption they've been clawing for. Now, as for that statement, I took a quick search of TikTok in curiosity for several relevant combinations of terms: Taylor and VR, Taylor Swift VR, Taylor Swift VR concert, Tay-Tay sing-along, Swiftie VR, all that kind of stuff. And I could not find a single video of someone singing along to Tay-Tay while wearing a VR headset. So if these videos did indeed go viral, they're doing it in a surprisingly difficult and very, very low-key way, because I can't friggin' find any of them. But the BBC article goes on to talk about the slow uptake of VR headsets by the general public, largely laying the blame at the cost of entry, which is a factor, yes, but it's a lot more complex than that. I did write out my thoughts on this, or at least start to, but it ended up bloating this video out way too much, so it's gone. It's on the editing room floor. If you want, maybe I'll make a video all on its own, maybe. But within the framing of cost, the article states, Typically, the cost of attending a concert is a fraction of a new piece of hardware, but the Eras Tour has flipped that equation on its head, with resale tickets averaging more than $3,800 or £2,977 each. I'm sorry, what? Nearly $4,000 for a scalped concert ticket, and here I am struggling to pay my power and phone bills this month. Dear God, help me. Please, please help me. Check out the pinned comment. I'm not kidding. I'm in trouble. Please help. VR industry insiders say there's reason to believe Swift's unprecedented popularity could finally provide an answer to the barriers of both content and cost. Buying a VR headset for $400 might sound unreasonably high, but if you think about buying it as an alternative to experiencing a Taylor Swift concert, $400 sounds like a reasonable alternative. Says this industry insider, who, and let's be very, very clear here, has a deeply vested and literally invested interest in making people believe that this experience is so special it's going to need VR and it's going to sell people VR headsets. Because it was Ralph Illenberger who said it, and Ralph is the CEO of a company called VR Direct, who are an enterprise-focused company that run both a VR creation platform and a VR studio, specifically to help other brands create virtual experiences. That's how he makes his money. So yeah, I'm sure he would love to have a pants-wettingly profitable contract with the likes of Tay-Tay to bring her performances to bespoke VR experiences. But first, he has to create a big swell of fans clamoring for it, begging for it, screaming for it. Maybe, for example, by saying shit like this to the BBC in interviews that people ordinarily not deeply interested in VR might read because it's about Taylor Swift. Someone else with a not at all personal profit motivated opinion on this is Tim Emmerich. Taylor Swift is a killer app for virtual reality. It was a big signal for me and really reaffirmed that powerful IP is a necessary ingredient to attract folks to a brand new device category. So, who is Tom? Well, he's the director of product and augmented reality platforms for Niantic Labs, the company that was a middling nobody floundering in the industry right up until they got a license to make an app for something already wildly popular and made so by other people. Because they made Pokemon Go. And it was novel, and it was different, and it was something most people had never experienced before, and it was about Pokemon. But never you mind, they are so inept, so crappy at what they do, they have repeatedly failed to recreate their success, even with other wildly popular global IPs like Minecraft, or Harry Potter, or Monster Hunter, all of which have failed miserably, or are actively failing as we speak, and largely hated by the real fan bases of those IPs, who criticize Niantic heavily for their incredibly shitty, manipulative, and sleazy monetization horse shit. Tom does note, though, something I mentioned earlier. The Eras Tour concert film was filmed in 2D, not with 180 or 360 stereoscopic VR cameras. So instead of immersing fans in a concert experience that makes them feel like they're sitting from the front row, the experience is more like being immersed in a movie theater with the Eras Tour film playing on the screen. Now, don't get me wrong, the virtual theater experience in VR can be very, very nice. I do it quite often. But Tom is right, and so is Ralph. Watching Taylor Swift's concert on a virtual theater on a flat screen is not even close to how cool it can feel to watch performances filmed with VR in mind. There's an app called DioVR. It's available on the Meta App Store and also Steam VR. It's kind of like YouTube, but for VR videos specifically, so almost everything there is user-made content. And among other things, when exploring that app, you can find J-pop and K-pop performances ranging from highly professionally produced videos with terrific quality, right down to fan-filmed J-pop performances from fans sitting in the front row with the handheld VR cameras, and it's just wibbly and wobbly. And don't watch those ones if you don't have your VR legs yet. But they share something in common. They feel so much more engaging than just watching the same type of content on a flat screen. I've been known from time to time to go on a bit of a kick on J-pop and K-pop when I'm in just the right mood for that kind of unstoppably peppy and joyful kind of over-the-top experiences. And the exaggerated pageantry and bright stylized performances and choreography really do take on a brighter, more enthralling quality when you're having a front row, 3D, immersive experience of it. And as far as calling these passive watching experiences the killer app for VR, when there's so much active, interactive, exciting, inventive possibilities in VR, well, something I predicted 2 months ago, that being Apple will lead a new and heavy push towards watching this kind of passive entertainment, movies and TVs, and specifically a new surge of 3D content, is indeed coming to pass. As news broke yesterday of Disney Plus seemingly exclusively offering streaming 3D movies through their Disney Plus service for Apple Vision Pro users. I told you deals like that were going to start happening, and with Disney on board, how long do you think the others will let them have that whole ass cake to themselves? I'm thinking not very long. Both the other streaming services and Meta themselves are also going to push heavily for this. And killer app that sells VR headsets or not, stuff like this, that asks the viewer, the wearer, nothing more than to sit back, relax, and enjoy and be immersed, are extremely attractive for first-time VR users. And considering Taylor Swift's ridiculous level of influence and popularity and reach, yeah, I can totally see why people who want to make money by producing VR content would be excited to push the idea of that into the public eye. To the best of my knowledge, Taylor Swift herself has never once expressed any interest in this style of content. Any Tay-Tay fans out there, feel free to prove me wrong by telling me where she was talking about it. But it is a very interesting idea of getting someone at that screamingly unstoppable, insurmountable level of popularity to engage with VR and get people engaged with VR. What would that do to the industry? What would that do to the adoption rates? And as cynical as I have been about Tom and Ralph being on this, it is people like them who, have a vested interest in pushing this content, who work in the industry, who might know the right people to talk to, whisper in their ear a little bit. That might be something to get the ball rolling. And indeed, it is in their best interest to get Taylor Swift fans thinking about how awesome it would be to sit front row in one of her concerts in your own private space in your bedroom anytime you like. You can sit down and enjoy the Taylor Swift concert as if you were right there. It makes perfect sense for them to be doing that kind of stuff. In this case, again, with my cynicism aside, I think it is a win-win kind of situation. If these guys, get the idea out there and the Taylor Swift fans answer it and it happens, I do think it's going to be good for the industry as far as making money goes, and I do think it's going to be good for the, users as far as the amount and quality of content that we have available to us goes. Anyway, thank you for watching. I am Bunty. I will catch you next time. Thank you as always to the patrons scrolling up above there, and once more, I'm at tough spot. So link in the pinned comment. If you can help, please help. Thank you very much for those who have already. I really appreciate it, but I still need more. I hate asking. It's so embarrassing to beg like this, but I do need it.